Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Four Female Founders podcast series, where we're helping women in business learn to thrive, not just survive. I am your host, Sarah Bundy, and today we have Chitra Sinha with us. She is a content strategist and communications trainer based in India, and she's worked with global brands from all over the world, helping them with their digital strategies and go-to-market plans from a content and a communications perspective. Chitra, it is really lovely to have you on the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's wonderful to have this conversation. It has been a long time and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. And I love that we are getting a chance to talk because you've actually been one of the very first members of the Four Female Founders community, and you're a wonderful voice and you're a wonderful advocate, and you've been lifting up women in business for a really long time. And actually, you've been in business since 2007 with your own company. So I'm sure we have a
Yeah.
lot to learn from you because you are a successful entrepreneur, and the difference that you've made for brands around the world has actually been really inspiring too. So can't wait to learn from you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So much looking forward to this.
Awesome. Well, one of the things that I love about what you do for a living is you have a saying on your website, and we've talked a little bit about this, but you say facts tell, stories sell, and I think that's a
Yeah.
wonderful tagline. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and what is this concept of facts tell and stories sell?
Okay. So like the country that I come from, India, so we are very big on storytelling. And when I joined this industry, so I have to go back a little bit. I joined this industry almost 2007, 2008, and that time I was doing my graduation. Um, so the internet market at that time, internet penetration, the adoption in India was really less. So suffice it to say that we were like the first of those families who could actually afford a computer and then an internet connection. Okay, and then it's happened by chance that I saw this advertisement for a content writer. I did not even know what content writing is, and I thought, okay, let's just give this a try. So there was this company in India itself who were hiring writers to write for US clients. So all this concept was completely new to me. My parents literally thought that it was a scam somehow. I don't know why. But anyways, I went ahead and applied, and I was on board with them. So my initial experience with content writing happened with this company, and they trained us that how do you write for US clients. Okay,
Mhm.
so there was a difference in language because what I'm speaking is Indian English. That's American English. I had no idea about. So we received a lot of training on how to write for American clients, and how do you customize your writing as per the industry. Okay, so when I sent in a couple of my assignments, almost all of them got rejected. Okay. So, and I was really disappointed. And one of the reasons for rejection was that it was too creative. Okay. It was too creative. It did not have any kind of commercial value. Okay.
Mm.
Commercial value because my background is in English literature. I was doing my graduation. So it was really creative, and the client sent it back saying, "Okay, we can't do anything with this." Okay, let's say I have a car rental company. What am I going to? I can publish this fiction, right? So so I think that was my first brush. Then this company told me that okay, the industry that you're trying to get into, you have to balance both perspectives. So this is where
Mm.
it comes from. That it is good that you're creative, but you need to be factual as well.
Mm.
Okay, and this is something that's a tag that I use, that facts and stories are both required. And somewhere I read that it impacts both sides of the brain, as in the left side and the right side. One is supposed to be more factually oriented, and the other is more creative oriented. And if you
Mm.
can just combine these two, and then put your story out there, you can capture almost all the audiences. Right. So since then, it has been a practice that, okay, let's give the facts. Facts can be boring, So let's convert it into a little bit of story, but let it not be too creative that we lose the business aspect of it. It's like a delicate balance that one has to really experience to understand how you should write for certain audiences, because it's really different writing for a client who is in the finance space than it is different to write in the affiliate marketing space. You are capturing different clients, so the tonality has to be different.
Mhm.
So this is where the tagline comes from, basically.
That's so interesting. And it's fascinating to learn how you kind of got thrown into the deep end of the pool to figure out how to sink or swim in the US market, writing from an Indian location, background, language.
Yes,
And then they trained you on how to write in an American mindset, in an
yes,
American tone.
yes.
What are the biggest differences that you notice in writing for an American audience compared to writing for an Indian audience?
Okay, so the concept of writing for an Indian audience did not exist that
Okay.
time. Okay, so there was no digital marketing. So digital marketing was a completely new terminology that we were coming across. The first group of people who started using the internet and saw, okay, something like this even exists, because we are still a country that prefers conventional career. And this was like, I could not ever explain to my family what digital marketing is. What is it that exactly I'm doing? So the concept did not exist, and for the uh, for the US clients, I learned one of the biggest problems was communication. That was the first problem, because how we communicate is very different from American communication. So that was a huge learning curve. So the organization I was working with, they were very meticulous with giving feedback, and I appreciate that so much, because that is exactly how I learned. And those days we did not have Google Docs. They were plain Microsoft Word. So they used to send files after files of track changes that I had to go through and learn. Because the thing is, there was nothing wrong in what I was writing, but it was not customized for the US audience.
Mm.
So that was the first thing, like how the communication changes with a change in culture, with a change in business mindset. What can work here in India may or may not work in a US market or a European market or any other market. So it was a lot of practice, and it was a lot of practice even writing a 500 worded article. You didn't have references, you didn't have mentors that I could just go online and see, like you have today. You can reach out to a lot of people. I didn't have anyone to reach out to except for this company. So yes, a lot of cultural understanding and a lot of language changes that was happening. And I remember that when my exams came, that was even visible in the answer sheets that I was writing. And my teachers were like, okay, your writing style has changed, Chitra. This is what my
Mm.
teachers used to say. I did not, say that, I'm working somewhere and this is the impact, but it's a learning. I was learning, and it impact both ways.
With Awin's marketing technology platform, you can easily discover the best partners who connect you with huge audiences of new customers. Understand how your partnerships are performing with intuitive reporting, and only pay for the results you need. Start today and grow your own way with Awin. Absolutely. And so, what's an example of what kind of communication pieces are there for American audiences? Give us a specific example. Like what would you write for a finance brand in the US compared to, say, a finance brand in India?
Okay, so a finance brand in India. Um, before writing that, you have to understand how we look at money, and that is what has to reflect in the content that we are producing. So for a finance brand in India, it has to be mostly geared towards the profit. The language changes that you can earn better profit from certain financial instruments.
Mm.
Or if you invest in this financial product, it is going to help your family, because
Mm.
the family structure is really embedded in our culture. So it is less individualistic and more like taking the family ahead. You're trying to address the family and not just the single decision maker in the family, in the closed group. So but for the US audience, I was told, those days, and that is something I understood, that U.S. markets are the society is very individualistic.
Mm,
Okay, so
mm,
it is like how it is benefiting me is something I would write for an US market, but for an Indian market, how is it benefiting me and the entire family? That is the subtle distinction. Some people may not like really understand the difference, but it's really really subtle. So, and you also need to have a knowledge of financial products. The terminologies are different, the kind of investments that we do here and in the US markets. So what used to happen when we used to receive these client briefs, that those days it used to be really thorough and comprehensive, because we did not have Google Meet, we did not have video calling in those times. So everything was just really on email. So we had to, we used to ask those clients that, okay, give us the terminologies that works with the American audience. Give us what you are trying to achieve with this. Like, and I have learned this throughout the years. Communication, the more the communication is really crystal clear,
mm,
okay, it helps to write or even speak, because no matter how much I try, I am not a native English speaker, and I can never be. Okay, so the comfortable way in which I can convey what I want in my native language, I can never do that in English. There's a
mm,
vocabulary difference. There's a difference of how we express ourselves. So this kind of also reflects on the communication.
mm,
So the language is more simpler. We don't use idioms when we are writing pieces. Something which maybe an American audience can understand, but maybe an European audience may not understand. Okay,
mm.
so these are the kind of differences that we had to keep in mind, and often we used to even get this as a brief, that do not come across as an Indian writer. And that was really tough to do. Like, the client should not understand that, and in this is written by a non-native speaker. Like, it was nothing personal, like Indian writer, but it should not come across as a non-native writing. It's tough to do. Practically, you really can't. But there was the optics of finances involved, hiring talent in developing countries. The difference is always there. So, yeah, so it's about understanding the audience mindset, and then customize your writing around it.
Yeah, you bring up some really interesting points there because I'm thinking about really understanding your audience. You use the example of how finance might, the solutions of a particular finance company in India might benefit that person and their family compared to how a finance company in the United States or Canada or Europe might benefit an individual in their pursuit of whatever goals that they're striving
Yes,
towards.
yes,
And this is talking about not only understanding your audience, but understanding the psychological motivations of the culture as well as the
yes,
individual. And those are going to be
yes,
different, right? To your point, depending on
totally.
which countries and which cultures you're writing for. So that's one thing. And there's a whole bunch of questions and strategy that I think entrepreneurs and people in business listening to this right now can benefit from just that one idea, that one concept. Because if you're thinking about what is the benefit to me, you're looking at the emotional motivators of a buyer,
Yes,
right? It's
yes,
not like, here's what I am doing. It's, here's how I'm solving your problem, but here's why it matters to you and why you're emotionally going to feel good about it, which is, I think,
yes,
ties back to your facts tell and your stories sell. So you can
yes,
tell the
yes.
facts of, here's the solution I provide, here's all the benefits, here's all the features. Those are facts. But the story is, what difference is it going to make in your life, and how is it going to make your life
Yes,
better or easier or get you closer to accomplishing your goals? Does that
yes,
summarize
absolutely.
correctly kind of
Yes,
what you've
absolutely.
been trying to do?
Absolutely, absolutely. Even I'll give a small example. Like, you are in the affiliate marketing space, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, so in that period when I was starting out, to let's say about 2016, 17, I have written tons of affiliate marketing content. Okay. And I have had friends who have tried to run affiliate marketing sites, like the typical Amazon associates.
Hmm.
That's how usually people enter in the affiliate space. And when I used to interact with these people who are also Indians like me, and when I used to ask them, like, why are you creating this affiliate site? What is the audience that you are reaching out to? 9 out of 10 used to tell me that these are for American audiences. These are not for Indian audiences, because again, the purchasing pattern is very different.
Mm.
And because I've seen that, okay, people are coming to their websites and then reading, let's say, 3,000 page review, and then taking the decision to go on an Amazon, the shared Amazon link, and then making a purchase. So people are really putting in that effort. But for us, it is like, okay, Sarah, you recommend a product that you share a link with me. I click on that, I check out the product. If I like it, I buy it. So my point is that again, for something like affiliate spaces, writing long form articles for Indian audiences does not work that much.
Mm.
Maybe a video would work, but we are really not into reading long pieces, each lines of the review. Like I used to see a lot of hosting websites writing long, copious reviews. And but for me, even the hosting plan that I have, I did not even check out any of these reviews. I was like, okay, what is the how much I have to pay every month? That is my
Mm.
entire consideration. Is there an annual package? I'll sign it up. I'll sign
Right.
off on that. I don't want to check 10 different brands. So it's
Right.
about understanding the psychology of the buyer and then
Right.
creating your marketing pieces.
Let's talk a little bit about North American brands that are looking to expand into new growth markets. One of the new growth markets for North American based companies is India. There's a huge population of buyers. Everyone is going digital now. There has been a surge in wealth compared to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be connected. Everybody has smartphones. So there's some pretty strong economic buying power in the Indian market. What advice do you have for companies that are considering expanding into India as another distribution and market opportunity for them?
Okay, so what I would advise to such brands is to invest in localization, in language localization. Okay, um, for example, if we have a .com website and you go to those websites, you rarely see those websites translated, and you see a drop down menu. There are very less websites that I've come across where there's a drop down menu of different languages. But for any brand who is looking to expand in India, I would suggest to invest in localizing the product, the outreach, the text messages, the website language to the Indian audiences. That would be really helpful, and not just in English. Hindi is the next spoken language, so that would be good. Second is India is a very price sensitive market. Let's say you have a product which you are selling at $10 a month, for example. So $10 in Indian rupees is almost 800. If
Hmm.
you just convert that and put your subscription as 800 rupees per month, you really won't find much takers in India.
Hmm.
So you have to redefine your pricing strategy when you are entering a price sensitive market like India. You really have to do it. You can't have that mentality expecting that, okay, people who are interested in my product will sign up. Trust me, we are not going to do that.
Okay.
Yes, you have to redefine the pricing. And third thing is do a lot of interpersonal outreach. So what I've often seen with foreign brands, and not just North American brands, is like whatever is there on the website is that's it. Okay, there is no way that I can personally reach out to someone. But for us, again, I am bringing in a cultural aspect because that's going to determine the marketing and the communications.
Right.
We really believe in interpersonal communications. We really want to talk to the person who is behind a business. And if there is just a phone number which goes to an IVR or a generic email ID, and again depending on the product, that is tough to for Indian consumers to build relationship with that product. Okay, so I think price sensitivity, a lot of localization, how you are reaching out to the audience will matter a lot. So these two are the prime requirements as per me.
So, how would you define interpersonal communication formats? So, obviously, looking at a website by itself is not going to connect with somebody emotionally. You can't build a relationship by sending someone a
Yes,
landing page and then hoping they're going to read it, and
yes,
that's as far as they're going to go, right?
yes.
So, you had mentioned text messages, maybe there's newsletter. What are all the different interpersonalized communication touch points that companies should consider if they're trying to connect with an Indian audience?
Have an office in India.
Okay.
There should be a team or at least one person who is there in the country.
Hmm.
So I was part of this brand almost 9-10 years back, and they wanted to launch in India. They wanted to launch in India. It was a financial product, and they did not have any India office or a person like a country head for India. And I was an ambassador for that brand for entire of India. And there were initial hiccups when, like, before they even brought me on board, they were trying to reach out to the market, and I'm drawing on that experience. It was really tough for them to reach out to the audiences, as in talk to the audience, because all of them wanted to speak to a person, and all of them asked, where is your office, we will come and meet you. Now you can't say that, okay, I am sitting in USA or I am sitting in Europe, I can't do that. So that's a business loss. And I remember that when they got me on board for the next 1 year or 18 months, I was the point of contact. Anything was coming through me. I was the face of the company, even though it was not part of the contract. But anyway, so people could connect with me because, okay, here is Chitra who is representing this company. So there's a lot of weight on my shoulders, a lot of responsibility there as well. So what I'm basically trying to say is having just a website and hoping to build a business based on that website will be really difficult for Indian audiences. You have to have a presence. You have to have people who would go to conferences and do a lot of networking. You have to have people who are going to, let's say, industry specific associations, who are going to banks, who are, maybe you have your own workshops, like less of digital and more of
Mm.
in-person relationship building, because that's how we connect more than the digital space. Yes.
That's actually really interesting because one of the questions I was going to ask you was around how AI has potentially impacted how you've changed running your business, because obviously you can scale more. People could potentially go into AI and say, here's a content piece that I would like to write. Can you please write this with an Indian audience in mind, taking into accountabilities, cultural, nuances, and maybe you get a really great piece of content. What it doesn't do is build a personalized relationship. You can't meet a
Yes.
person in face to face. You can't pick up a phone and have a conversation with a human being on the other side who can
Yes.
speak the language, right? So
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about how AI could potentially change the way companies in India do business and what North American based companies need to think about if they're going to try and lean on AI instead of people in order to engage with the right audiences.
It's going to be really hard, Sarah. It's
Mm.
maybe for a certain segment of the population, let's say who are under 27, 28, for whom they have started exploring AI and they are looking at various career options. Maybe it can work, but for like 27, 28 upwards, it will be really difficult. I'll
Mm.
give you an example. When ChatGPT launched, I think it was in 2022, right? It's been 2 years. Overnight, I lost my entire business, my entire
Mm.
content creation business. Okay, maybe 9 out of 10 clients went off, that okay,
Mm.
we can't pay so much, and these are American and European clients, that we can't pay so much, we can rely on chat gpt to do what you are doing. And believe me, almost all of them came back in the next 6 months.
I
and
believe it.
and it's not that I was writing for Indian audiences, I was writing for American products.
Mm.
But the number one complaint that I received from the clients that they were dissatisfied with AI content because they did not have the human emotion in it. They
Right.
had the facts, but the story was missing. The human element was
Mhm.
completely missing. And no matter how much you train the AI, how much you're chatting with it to get the ideal, you're giving them the persona, you're giving them the right prompt, it did not cut it. And again, I will do a distinction here. There are certain companies who really don't care about their content. It is something that they have to do. They really don't care if anyone is reading it or not. It's like a sales page, a long sales page that they are aware no one is going to read it anyway. So I'm not talking about those clients. Talking about those clients whose business thrives on the content that they're producing.
Mm.
For them, maybe they can take the help of AI to do a couple of to do their research and to get a storyline to to create a skeleton of the content they're trying to create. But ultimately, you need a human person to think and build the human element. And personally, I have not been in favor of AI because the time it takes me to research and then write something via AI, I do it half the time when I'm doing it on my own, because this is completely coming out of experience. Content creation is not something that I've just discovered. I've been doing it for long. So it's easier for me to write on my own, think and write,
Mm.
than talk to an AI. So AI, even if I see advertisements in India, AI is helping with, let's say, customer support, where you are automating common queries with the banking products, with financial products. It's there. You can feel that the output that you are receiving is not from an actual human at the other end. It's a bot who is talking to you. It is there, but the human element will never go out of style. At the end of the day, if I am having a banking trouble, I don't want to talk to a bot. I want to talk to a real human who can solve my problem. So the human factor has to be in the budget of any product or service based company who is looking to who is looking to survive, who is looking to maybe launch in India or maybe in their own countries. The human factor needs to be there.
I
Otherwise, it's going
agree
to
with
be
you.
tough.
I'm in agreement with you, honestly. Like, even when I'm online reading, or if I look at something that's based in a company in Canada or the United States that I'm considering buying from, if I even have an inkling that they wrote their content with AI, immediately I'm actually turned off. I want some authenticity. I would like to feel
Yes,
emotionally connected. I love that you said the human element will never go out of style. That is such a
yes,
great
yes,
quote. And I think you're right. There are brands that are leaning really heavily into using AI, and they're losing all of the things that made them appealing and amazing in the first place because of that emotional
yes,
connection and that human
true.
connection. Human beings are such, collaborative, connective people who need community, right? So if we're just constantly communicating and having touch bases with a bot, like, how
Yes,
sad and lonely does that become after a long time, right? We
I
lose who we
agree.
are, we lose connection, and then we feel sad and depressed. So
Yes,
having that element of connectivity through storytelling, through the human element, adds so
yes.
much value to a brand. I feel like it becomes a competitive advantage for companies all over the world now.
It does. So a company who is using AI but maintaining that human connect will definitely see their brand getting more prominence compared to their competitors. It's bound to happen.
Which industries do you feel have done this really well compared to which industries still have a long way to go?
As in AI adoption in India.
As in using humans to tell better stories and create better brands.
I think a lot of marketing companies, marketing service providers, they are still trying to hold on to this bastion that okay, we need human input. But the agencies are serving a lot of clients. Okay,
Mhm.
so I think let's say if we talk about the finance industry, I see AI adoption there, but there are it's not 100%. It's
Mhm.
there for maybe basic queries that really does not require human intervention. They have adopted AI in a good way by not phasing out the human part completely.
Right.
So this is one thing really good. So one industry which I don't see AI adoption, and that is a good thing, is the real estate industry.
Mm,
So real estate, if you are in the business of selling offices and selling homes, you should not automate that with AI, especially the human interaction part.
right.
When I'm calling up a real estate company, I want to look at properties. I want to speak to a real human. I don't want to chat with a bot. I want to visit that place, and I want a human there to show me around and
Right.
convince me that why I should invest in this property, why I should buy this. So I
Hmm.
don't see a lot of AI adoption in the real estate space in India specifically, and that's
Right.
a good thing. Yes.
Mm,
Okay. So there are a couple of food apps. Food
mhm,
apps like you must have heard of Zomato, Uber Eats,
mhm.
and when you talk to their customer support, you can feel that okay, it's the name is human but you're not talking to a human. But then I think it's still fine, because the maximum query we are going to have is, where is my food, why is it late?
Yeah.
Nothing more than this, right?
Right.
So it's, yeah, I think it's still fine, but brands really need to keep a balance in how they are going ahead with adopting it.
Mhm.
Another space where I think that we are not doing good in terms of AI, using AI, is human resource. My
Mm,
LinkedIn is full of stories how their resumes get rejected by AI assessments. I really don't think that's really good, because you
mm,
are hiring a human, and your company, you are the owner of the company, you might have thousands of employees. I understand the need to process applications faster,
mhm,
but if you are outrightly refusing application just because it lacks something,
mm.
it's a disservice to humanity.
You make an interesting point because we're talking about talent, right? And one of your sayings, one of your beliefs is that talent transcends borders.
Yes.
So let's talk. And I realize that we're coming short on time, Sally. I feel like we might need to schedule another call. I love talking to you or speaking with you. Your ideas are refreshing. Um, let's talk about talent transcends borders. What do you mean by that? And how can companies capitalize on or take advantage of talent regardless of where they're located in the world?
Okay, so I realized that talent transcended borders with me, because when I look back on my career,
Mhm.
uh, a company gave me a chance. A company sitting in USA gave me a chance, without knowing about me, uh, without knowing my gender, what I do in India, how much do they think I deserve in terms of income. So these filters were not there. There was
Mhm.
a company who gave me a chance, and it really gave me a push, gave a push to my career, because that company probably had the same thought. Okay, does not matter where my writer is coming from, my only intention is that the writing has to be good and it should fulfill my purpose.
Mhm.
Okay, so if, and that's where I feel that if a lot of companies adopt this mindset, that talent is not, you cannot differentiate talent in terms of which part of the world they belong to. The mind does not discriminate that. The
Right.
mind does not understand any borders. So if you have a better, let's say, hiring policy, a
Mhm.
better compensation policy, I think it's going to attract the right talent. Even in compensation, I have seen a lot of companies offer different compensation for the same role, just because one candidate is from the global south and the other is from the global north.
Mhm.
So again, there is a slight discrimination. For argument's sake, one can say that okay, we have to follow the labor policy of the countries or of my country while giving compensation. I agree with that, but then the work that the person is doing is the same. So why is there a difference in compensation? So these are
Mhm.
little things. And third thing is, when you are working with people. Okay, so now you have the talent on board, but as humans we come from different cultures and societies. how my culture and society is in India. I cannot expect the same thing, let's say, when I'm coming to Canada. It's different and I have to adapt to it, right? So the companies need to be mindful of the culture that they are setting in the organization. If you have a global workforce, you have to remember that the same global workforce is bringing a part of their culture in that 8 hours of working for you.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these cultures have different communication styles. For example, and I've seen this in a lot of like Indian cultures, like the broader South Asian cultures, that we don't speak up a lot in meetings. Just for an example, let's say if you have a company meeting, you would find that there are certain culturally specific people, and after a certain time, you can really point it out that these people are not vocal in the meetings. Okay. And there's again a psychological and social reasoning why that happens. So companies needs to be mindful. So needs to be mindful that okay, you are inviting talent, you have the talent, you are encouraging diversity. But now how do you communicate? How do you build your organization culture? So that's a really big thing that organizations need to think about. It's not just about attracting the right talent, you have to retain that right talent in your organization.
All very valid points. And one of the reasons why you offer communication training as one of your services as well, because there are so many nuances that I don't think people really
Yes.
understand the impact and the right approach to make sure you're getting the most out of your talent, especially when it's a
Yes.
diverse team, right?
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that's wonderful. Sadly, we're out of time for today. Maybe what we can do is do another call, another podcast where we talk about training for communication, because I think it'd be really
Right.
valuable and interesting to learn about how to get the most out of your talent, especially if you're working with an Indian team, whether that team is based in India or based locally to you, wherever you are around the world. How do
Yes.
you get the most out of your team? Based on culture, based on
Perfect.
background, based on skill sets, based on mindset. So I'd love to set that up. For today, can you leave us with some final thoughts around creating a solid content strategy for brands and an action item? So you've got some brands listening right now, you got entrepreneurs listening right now. What would you leave them with when they're thinking about their content strategy right now?
It's easy. It's easy, and I tell this everywhere who is interested to listen, is that your content strategy should be human. Your buyers are human. Bots are not paying out of their credit card. There are human buyers. So you need to speak to these human writers, invest in the right talent, and develop your content strategy based on your target market. It's really easy, but a lot of brands really don't understand it. So do your research and get human writers. That's the takeaway for this meeting of ours.
I love it, Chitra. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. If anybody wants to contact you, ask you more questions, ask you about how they can work with you from a content perspective, what's the best way to reach you?
They can reach out to me on my LinkedIn, and my website is chitrasinha.com. I'll share it with you, and I'm always available on LinkedIn. That would probably the easiest way.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Chitra. And
Thank you so much,
thanks to
Sarah.
everyone who listened in today. Catch up with you
Thank
soon.
you.
Thanks for listening to the Four Female Founders podcast series. If you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and hit subscribe, like, or comment below so we can continue to support women in business by helping them thrive, not just survive. We'll see you on the next show.